The stimulus just keeps rolling in, and we're right here with you guys to give you the latest, most accurate $2,000 fourth stimulus check update and important U.S. headlines, the official end to 20 years of the U.S. war in Afghanistan, and how this could mean a fourth stimulus check for us.
Washington Post reports CIA Director William Burns secretly met with the Taliban's leader in Kabul yesterday, the highest level face-to-face encounter between the Taliban and the Biden administration since the militants seized Kabul. But one decorated Navy SEAL going viral with the message that he would deliver if he were President Biden. Listen.
In the next 48 hours, America will be in control of most major airports in Afghanistan. Any resistance we meet from the Taliban or otherwise when we seize these airports will be destroyed completely and without mercy. Any person that interferes with these operations will be.
And lastly, the latest House bill to get rental assistance to people faster and help people out with the eviction moratorium expiration. Keep watching for all the details. Stimulus, U.S. news, personal finance, and more. We've got the latest for you guys right here on the Ron Yates channel. Just want to say thank you guys for tuning in, and thanks for always hitting that like button. I really appreciate you guys. Let's go ahead and jump in. Wow, just wow. After 20 long years, the U.S. military experiment in Afghanistan has finally ended.
I'm here to announce the completion of our withdrawal from Afghanistan and the end of the military mission to evacuate American citizens, third country nationals, and vulnerable Afghans. The last C-17 lifted off from Hamid Karzai International Airport on August 30th this afternoon at 3:29 p.m. East Coast time, and the last manned aircraft is now clearing the airspace above Afghanistan. We will soon release a photo of the last C-17 departing Afghanistan with Major General Chris Donahue and the U.S. Ambassador to Afghanistan, Ross Wilson, aboard. While the military evacuation is complete, the diplomatic mission to ensure additional U.S. citizens and eligible Afghans who want to leave continues. And I know that you have heard, I know that you're going to hear more about that from the State Department shortly. Tonight's withdrawal signifies both the end of the military component of the evacuation, but also the end of the nearly 20-year mission that began in Afghanistan shortly after September 11th, 2001.
About 2,500 U.S. troops were in Afghanistan when President Biden announced the withdrawal, most of whom left by July. But the administration this month rushed in about 6,000 U.S. troops to facilitate evacuations.
We bring in Jocko Willink, the man you saw there, the man you see this morning. He's a friend of our shows, retired Navy SEAL, recipient of the Silver Star, the Bronze Star, former commander of Navy SEAL Team 3. Good morning to you, Jocko. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Ainsley. Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. I watched the whole thing yesterday on Instagram. Powerful message. Why did you feel the need to do that?
Well, I just felt that no one was making any statements, taking ownership of the situation that was happening. And if there's no one that's actually taking ownership, how's that problem going to get solved?
And if you could sit down with Joe Biden, what else would you say to him? How would you tell him to rescue our Americans that are over there?
Well, listen, the thing is, you can't make excuses, and we've heard a lot of excuses from the president at this point, you know, that this would have happened with any withdrawal plan, or the president of Afghanistan run away, or I was just following through with the deal from the last administration. And all those are just excuses and placing blame on other people. The plan was a failure. Explain what went wrong, take ownership of what went wrong, and then come up with a plan on how to fix it. That's what he needs to do. What was your reaction when you heard Jen Psaki say that Americans are not stranded over there? I don't believe it. I mean, there's 10,000 people on the ground. The Taliban's running around. There's ISIS. There's al-Qaeda operatives. That's not true as far as I can tell.
Unfortunately, amidst all the chaos, we lost nearly 200 Afghans and 13 U.S. troops due to estimates also say that between 100 and 200 Americans who wanted to leave Afghanistan are still there, even after the U.S. military withdrawal and evacuation efforts from Afghanistan. Now, despite it all, President Biden is sticking to his plan, and he said, "I have never been of the view that we should be sacrificing American lives to try to establish a democratic government in Afghanistan, a country that was never once in its entire history been a united country, and is made up, and I don't mean this in a derogatory, made up of different tribes who have never, ever gotten along with one another." White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki confirms that President Biden stands by his decision to end the nation's longest war. According to her, if he had not, this view and the view of many other experts and military out there is we would have sent tens of thousands, potentially, or thousands at least, more troops back into harm's way in Afghanistan, risking more lives and more people to fight a war the Afghans were not willing to fight themselves. Nothing has changed in that regard. Let's just pause for a moment here, guys, and honor the lives that are lost in Afghanistan, especially those 13 U.S. troops who gave their lives in this evacuation effort. Billionaire investor Warren Buffett also touched on the Afghan situation and said that the luck in birth played a huge role in his billion-dollar success. More importantly, he also pointed out how this further underlines the need for billionaires and other rich people to pay higher taxes for more government stimulus. Buffett mentioned how he and his business partner Charlie Munger won the lottery by being born white, smart, able-bodied, male, and in America. He said, "When we were born, the odds were over 30-1 against being born in the United States. Just winning that portion of the lottery, enormous plus." He said, "We wouldn't be worth a damn in Afghanistan. We'd be giving talks, nobody be listening. Terrible." He also said, "The market system rewards me outlandishly for what I do, but that doesn't mean I'm any more deserving of a good life than a teacher or a doctor or someone who fights in Afghanistan." And that's why he's all for sharing the jackpot by pushing for higher taxes on the rich. According to Buffett, raising billionaires' taxes is the best way to help a guy who's a wonderful citizen but just doesn't have the market skills. Buffett also previously suggested that Congress expand income tax credits for low-income Americans, raising taxes on high earners in the process. These tax hikes are also a topic of debate in the coming $3.5 trillion stimulus package. So if we have actual billionaires on our side, then we shouldn't have any problem raising those wealth and corporate taxes and eventually having the Congress wiggle room to add those fourth stimulus checks into the mix. But what do you think, guys? Should we tax the rich to feed the poor? I think you're with me on this one, and it makes a whole lot of sense here to do it. Am I right? Just hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think. Now, speaking of the rich, my family and I have been studying what the rich are doing and have been doing during times of crises. They tend to follow certain key indicators which allow the rich to keep getting richer while the poor keep getting poorer. Economists around the world have been hinting toward an overdue financial collapse that would bring a new world order. You do not want to be unprepared when a crisis happens. I myself, along with others, are taking steps to prepare. Click the link down below to claim your free financial crises preparation guide so that you can see exactly what millionaires have shared with us on how they are preparing so that we can be ready. Just click the link down below to claim your free financial crisis guide or go to bigeconomicalerts.com/reset. And we are definitely not alone here in this thinking, guys. 83 millionaires have already signed an open letter for calling on governments to impose higher taxes on the wealthy to help fund the recovery from the huge debt was owed to those working on the front line and highlighted that essential workers were grossly underpaid for the burden that they carry. They warned of the need to rebalance our world before it's too late. There will not be another chance to get this right. Unlike tens of millions of people around the world, we do not have to worry about losing our jobs, our homes, or our ability to support our families. The signatories continued, adding that they were also much less likely to be victims of this health emergency. Some big names include Bill Gates. In a post on his blog, Gates notes, Gates advocated for higher estate taxes. We've updated our tax system before to keep up with changing times, and we need to do it again, starting with raising taxes on people like me. Former Starbucks CEO Howard Schultz, granddaughter of the Walt Disney Abigail Disney, billionaire financier George Soros signed the letter with his son Alexander Soros. Michael Bloomberg even ran with a raising taxes on the wealthy platform in his 2020 presidential campaign. To add to our point, an org fighting for fair taxes showed just how billionaires could contribute to make the $3.5 trillion stimulus package. Breaking. America's 708 billionaires are now worth $4.8 trillion collectively after gaining $1.8 trillion, up 62% during the wealth growth alone could pay for over half of the Democrats' $3.5 trillion budget plan. Don't tell us we can't afford to invest in working families. This shows that billionaires could pay for more than half of the $3.5 trillion package just by giving up their wealth gains during the loan. That is literally just the last 18 months of their wealth. To be clear, we're comparing 17 months, just a little over a year really, of these 708 people's wealth gains to years and years of American people's sick and medical leave, tax credits, and expanded Medicare. I mean, come on. Even these billionaires themselves point out that they need to be taxed more. They're asking for it. Might as well take them up on the offer. Now, aside from billionaires, some lawmakers are seeing this U.S. Army withdrawal as an opportunity to lower the country's defense budget to boost our stimulus. Sounds pretty good, though. A group of 50 House Democrats wrote a letter in March urging President Biden to significantly slash the more than $700 billion Pentagon budget. Their letter said, "While we are heartened that the administration is not contemplating expanding the Pentagon's already inflated budget, our new Democratic majorities in Congress, along with your administration, should go further. Rather than requesting a flat Pentagon budget, we urge you to seek a significantly reduced Pentagon top line." Fast forward to the present, we have Congress divided on this one. The House Armed Service Committees will weigh in on President Biden's $715 billion Pentagon budget proposal this week when it debates annual defense policy legislation. So far, the Democratic majority is divided while party leaders aren't sure that they can hold back the strong partisan drive to raise defense spending even more. This is when I took a moment to ask, why is this happening? Then it hit me. Who could be profiting from all this war spending? Hold on to your seats, guys, as this is going to get crazy. A recent report from investigative journalism platform Sludge showed that since the U.S. military actions in Afghanistan were authorized in September 2001, the stocks of top 5 defense companies have risen in value by an average of nearly 900%, strongly outperforming the S&P 500 index. Among those who have benefited from investments in the stocks are nearly 4 dozen members of Congress, the people who approve the funding of the contracts that make up the bulk of the company's revenues. To be specific, 47 members of Congress and their spouses hold between $2 million and $6.7 million worth of stock in companies that are among the top 100 defense contractors. Now, of course, we want to know who these people are. So here's a quick list. John Boozman, Roy Blunt, Shelley Moore Capito, Tom Carper, Susan Collins, Bill Hagerty, John Hickenlooper, Gary Peters, Tina Smith, Tommy Tuberville, Sheldon Whitehouse, and 36 House representatives. Bottom line, we have lawmakers who take part in deciding where our money goes, but they're also showing a clear conflict of interest in deciding how much money to put into war. This is happening at the same time that we're hearing lawmakers saying that there's just not enough money for paid sick and medical leave, tax credits, expanded Medicare, and a 4th stimulus check. The whole thing's definitely looking a little bit sketchy here, right? That's why I like this new bipartisan bill that would actually ban members of Congress from trading individual stocks. Senate Banking Committee Chairman Sherrod Brown, Senator Jeff Merkley, and Senator Raphael Warnock introduced the bill in the Senate. Basically, it would prohibit members of Congress and senior congressional staff from buying or selling individual stocks and other investments. It would also keep them from serving on corporate boards while in office. Helping out in the House of Representatives, Raja Krishna, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Joe Neguse, Matt Gaetz, and Michael Cloud. Note how all these names are not on the list of defense company shareholders. Very interesting. Now, according to Representative Cloud, as elected representatives, we each have a constitutional obligation to honor the public trust we have been given. Members of Congress should not be permitted to abuse the role in order to make financial gains. Let's look forward to more updates on this one. Be sure to subscribe to the channel now and definitely hit that notification bell so that you don't miss out on future updates. /reset. Breaking news on rental assistance and the eviction moratorium. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is throwing support behind legislation aiming to expedite federal rental aid to tenants and landlords. This is right in the middle of the eviction crisis happening right now.
That after the Supreme Court decision late Thursday is that it caused a lot of confusion, questions and real concern. And so Congress authorized $46 billion in rental assistance, and just a fraction of that has actually been distributed. Just 11% or $5 billion of that federal aid has actually been distributed by state and local governments after Congress approved it. And people really need this money. And census estimates show that as many as 1.2 million households say they're very likely to face eviction in the next 2 months. And more than 8 million people say that they're behind on rent. And so, however, the ruling doesn't mean that renters in states without protections will be evicted from their home immediately. At least half a dozen states, including New Jersey, California, New York, and Washington, have policies in place to keep these tenants in their homes.
During a call hosted by the National Low Income Housing Coalition, Nancy Pelosi said Representative Maxine Waters was working on building a consensus behind the rental aid bill. Basically, what this bill would do is require grantees to accept the self-attestation of a tenant and to provide assistance directly to tenants in certain circumstances. It would also allow landlords to directly apply for back rent after providing notice to their tenants that they intend to apply, and instruct the Treasury Department and grantees to conduct additional outreach to prospective tenants and landlords. Hopefully this would make rental assistance easier to get for people. Anybody here having trouble with getting rental assistance? Let us know in the comments down below. While you're waiting on that rental assistance, it's also good to know that we have a bit of time just before the evictions actually start happening.
Well, one thing is for sure is that, the courts have been backlogged, and they've been backlogged for almost a year. And so I'm hearing from both sides, the tenant and the landlord, that they that the filings are just it's going to take longer than usual. So you won't really be, like I said, evicted immediately from your home, but it really comes down to that federal assistance that is, taking a really long time to roll out. And these renters are applying for this assistance, but it's really not really handed to them yet. And so I think that's what the biggest bottleneck is for them, and a headache for both sides, right? Because they're both applying for this assistance, and it's not really going through.
Yeah, I think the fascinating thing, the most shocking thing there, only 10% of that $47 billion you mentioned allocated there from the Treasury Department, only 10% tapped to help in all this, just kind of speaks to how hard it's been to kind of get the support where it needs to go. But Danny Romero, I appreciate you bringing us that.
That's why the White House and Congress are rushing to beat these eviction proceedings. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said in a statement after the Supreme Court ruling that President Biden is once again calling on all the entities that can prevent evictions, from cities and states to local courts, landlords, cabinet agencies, to urgently act to prevent evictions. Progressives Ayanna Pressley, Cori Bush, Jimmy Gomez, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez led more than 60 House Democrats on Friday for a call for an ambitious legislative solution from House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer. Their letter said, "We implore you to act with the highest levels of urgency to advance a permanent legislative solution in a must-pass legislative vehicle in order to extend the life-saving federal eviction moratorium for the duration of the deadly global health crisis." Our House hero, Representative Cori Bush, is also on the job.
To the American people right now who are facing eviction, let me just say, it's a travesty and it's a political failure what is happening to you right now. I know what you're living through. I understand that moment by moment feeling, what those thoughts are like. I know that fear of uncertainty, and I know that fear of who speaks for me in this moment. Well, let me say this. Congresswoman Cori Bush is speaking for you. I won't rest. My team won't rest. And those that we're working with in Congress, we won't rest until we make sure that you have a safety in your homes. It's not okay. It's unjust and it's unfair what's happening to you.
Remember, guys, it was Representative Cori Bush who spearheaded a sit-in on the steps of the Capitol. She personally stayed on the Capitol steps for 5 straight days until President Biden and the CDC released that new moratorium. Now Bush is saying that Congress could pass a bill to extend the eviction moratorium through December 31st, or could pass legislation to give the Department of Health and Human Services the legal authority to address the eviction crisis. Like we always say here, poverty is a policy choice and so is stimulus. And that's why we're doing our part to keep you guys informed on all of this stuff. Share this video with your friends and your loved ones on social media so that they can also get the stimulus and eviction moratorium information too. You just never know who could use the help in keeping their lights on at this very moment. Am I right, guys? So just click that share button right now. We also have a whole lot more stimulus in our channel playlist section. We organize your favorite stimulus programs there. We've got Social Security, rental assistance, student loan forgiveness, and even credit score hacks. Now you don't have to miss one single update on your favorite stimulus. Oh, and there's also that special report on gold investments. Grab your free copy in the pinned comment section down below. It's exactly what you need to get started on your financial freedom journey. I hope you guys caught all of our stimulus news headlines today. We covered the $2,000 fourth stimulus check, the official end to the 20 years of the U.S. war in Afghanistan, how this could mean a fourth stimulus check for us, and lastly, the latest House bill to get rental assistance to people faster and actually help people out with the eviction moratorium expiration. Economists around the world have been hinting toward an overdue financial collapse that would bring a new world order. You do not want to be unprepared when a crisis happens. I myself, along with others, are taking steps to prepare. Click the link down below to claim your free financial crisis preparation guide so that you can see what millionaires have shared with us on how they are preparing so that we can be ready. I appreciate you guys for tuning in, and an even bigger thank you guys for always lighting up that like button, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.